Hey everyone, it's Evan Kirstel with another fantastic conversation. Brett Martin, founder of Kumospace. Brett, how are you?
Hey, good morning. I'm feeling great.
Thank you. Thanks for joining and greetings from Boston. I know New York City. And we're going to talk about the B2B metaverse, something you're building at Kumospace, among other things. Before we dive into that, maybe tell the audience a little bit about who you are and what you're up to these days.
Yeah, well, I'm actually the co-founder of Kumo Space. My co-founder Yang Mao and I have been working together for 10 years. We've built
Wow.
three products that have each reached the hands of millions of consumers. But this is definitely the one we're the most excited about. Really letting people bring their personality and who they are into the remote workspace. Not becoming little automatons that just do work facelessly and in the dark in their apartments. That's not the future we want to live in.
You're saying Teams and Slack isn't fun and engaging, or what are you trying to say here? But in all seriousness, tell us a little bit about what you built at Kumo Space, because I spent a little time on the website and it looks so fun, fascinating, gamification of work and all that good stuff.
Yeah, well, so it started. It is a pandemic baby. I was running my venture capital firm, Charge Ventures. It's a seed stage fund out of New York City, and I was starting to feel pretty burnt out. Like I was a kind of a VC API. You'd feed in an hour of video, you'd usually get a no, you'd occasionally get a yes, and more often than I like to not, you just get a null response because I was so zoomed out. And I reached out to my buddy Yang and I said, Yang, there's got to be something different and something better than this. This can't be the future of work. And Yang came back 2 weeks later with the first prototype of Kumospace, which was really just a proof of concept of this spatial audio concept, which is essentially the idea that there's one virtual space that you can have multiple conversations in simultaneously. So if you look at, you nice enough to queue up our website, right? This is a virtual space and people are having different conversations in it at the same time, fluidly moving between those conversations, just like you might in real life. And so turns out that's a really powerful concept because, we're all working at home, we're connected to the Slack, we're connected to Zoom, but we have no idea what anyone else in our company is doing. So you might work in a company of, 1,000 people, but you have no idea that, of what they're doing the way you might, if you were sitting in an office and you felt the buzz and you felt the energy of the boiler room, you saw the product team working on the whiteboards. We wanted to bring a bit of that power, that feeling and that warmth, human warmth back to the internet.
Well, that's fantastic. I love the concept, love the implementation. Today, the enterprises are typically delivered tools from the higher ups, typically an older white male like myself, and, they decide on Google or Slack so how do you go to market? How do you get in the hands of those individual, workers, knowledge workers, employees, et cetera?
Yeah, that's one of the fun parts about Kumospace is that, when we first started building it, our goal was just, make it really easy to create the most immersive virtual experiences possible. And so people actually use Kumospace for all sorts of different things. We've had weddings in Kumospace,
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah, graduate. Yeah. Well, it was like they had a good time. It was a celebration of life. So I can't really complain. We have lots of graduations and recruiting events. And, so the office is, kind of one use case, but we're lucky that people grab Kumospace, use it for their own purposes, share it with their friends. And then folks are always coming in our front door saying, hey, I'm looking for a solution. My team's feeling burnt out. They don't feel connected anymore. Our cross-departmental collaboration is really like slowing down to halt. Everyone's working in silos. We wanted some way of feeling more connected. And a lot of times they come in trying to solve the problem with like a happy hour or, once a month, they're going to have an all hands. But what they realize is actually what people are missing is that everyday connection, the 9 or 10 times a day when you're sitting in an office and you have a little micro interaction with your fellow human, whether it's getting in the elevator or playing a little ping pong late at night or sitting down to lunch, like people are missing that. And we're just trying to bring those micro serendipitous interactions, back to the workplace.
I love it. And what's been the feedback from customers so far and kind of who's using the service today?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're lucky in that, we've had millions of people sign up and use Kumospace.
Well,
We've
congratulations.
got
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty fun. It's nice to see people enter the space and see their eyes kind of light up and smile. They'll pour themselves a cup of virtual coffee and they'll laugh and they'll show their friends. We've got tens of thousands of organizations using it, teams at different companies. So that's how it starts. Is someone grabs it, shares it with their team, and then it kind of will bubble up throughout the organization. People will it'll spread from department to department. And I would say it's sort of the classic human emotion of FOMO, fear of missing out. If your whole team is hanging out in Kumospace, you don't want to be the one sitting in your room, staring at the green dots on Slack. So that's pretty much how it grows.
That's fantastic. And this is how Slack started. Those from the ground up, grassroots business groups. What's your take on the metaverse, though? This actually looks like a fun and usable version of the metaverse, unlike something from Meta that I get the cold sweats in after about 30 minutes. But what's your perspective on where we go from here beyond the interesting kind of scenario you've laid out?
Well, I think that it's inevitable that we're spending more and more time in the metaverse, right?
Right.
In our digital, our lives are becoming increasingly digital. That I think that's unavoidable. By the numbers, we are probably one of the largest metaverses and almost certainly the largest, B2B metaverse out there. We've got,
Wow.
like I said, we've got, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people kind of using Kumospace every month to do work. That said, I think when we look at the future of work, we try to think of it pretty holistically. Like, we don't believe that the future of work is sitting down at your computer at 9 a.m., staring at it, for 8 hours, and then getting up and leaving at 5. Even though, we built what we believe to be a beautiful product and we've made a lot of like little fun touches, and you can play, chess in Kumospace and you can play Tetris in Kumospace. We actually, our vision is a much more holistic one. So, maybe not every meeting needs to be a video chat, right? We think you need to use video chat when you want to build rapport or you want to look at something. And if you don't need to build rapport or look at something in any particular moment, you might do that call, you might do that via audio. And so when we're thinking about our mobile product, which is coming out soon, we think we want to encourage people to regularly get up from their chair, take a walking meeting and get outside and get some fresh air, maybe, while having a call if you need to. And so, the whole idea is, how do you have the most frictionless human interaction at any time, anywhere? That's the end goal. It's not about two-dimensional spaces or even just productivity. It's about, how do you have a fully realized human experience while at work remotely?
Oh, I love it. I can't wait to try it. And I have a big network, offline, online. I'd love my own Kumospace where I, sort of chat with my collaborators. And today we do it on things like WhatsApp groups and DMs, and it's not particularly engaging. I must say, that's sort of just text-based back and forth, asynchronous kind of model. So looks fantastic.
We can hook you up. What would you want to put?
I bet.
What would you want to put in your Kumospace? You can put.
I'm a solopreneur, solo practitioner, but I have a huge network. We media journalists, analysts, writers, CXOs, and we're sharing each other's content and chatting and communicating and just shooting the breeze. And this sounds like a great way to do that versus just a Slack, which I also use. So
yes,
really,
we actually have a lot of people who co-work in Kumospace.
Very cool.
So, yeah, solopreneurs like you, they will set up a co-working and they'll all sit in there. They have their own offices. You can close the door to your office, have a private conversation, invite folks directly to your office, and they don't even have to interact with the space if they don't want to. But it does provide that sense of community that might be missing from your remote day. I mean, it looks like you got a lovely library there though.
Lots of books I haven't read, but in all seriousness, It sounds like something like a WeWork would be a great partner where you can mix the physical and the virtual worlds in a kind of really interesting way. I'm sure you're thinking of all kinds of scenarios like that in version 2, 3, 4, 10 of the product.
Well, actually, we just announced a partnership with the largest co-working facility in Hong Kong. It's called The Desk, and they have both co-working facilities and what is historically called a virtual office. So 10 years ago, a virtual office was actually just a mailing address where you could have your mail sent if you didn't have a physical address. Google hasn't quite caught up to the time, still thinks everyone's searching for a virtual office looking for a mailing address, when it turns out a lot of folks are actually looking for a solution like Kumospace. So if someone could ring that up to the higher ups at Google, we'd be much appreciative.
Oh, I'm sure some of them are watching, and they're doing great work. And I imagine you're looking for partnerships too. As a small company, it's tough to break into the large enterprise world. I'm at Zoomtopia, for example, in a couple weeks in San Jose, in person, ironically, not over Zoom. And they're increasingly working with innovative startups and developers and third-party apps. So, gosh, the world's your oyster.
Evan, you got to put in a good word with us with the Zoom crew.
I'll say hi from Eric. I'm sure he'd be intrigued. So let's shift gears a little bit. Tell us about what you do at Charge Ventures, a company you co-founded. What sort of founders, entrepreneurs are you looking to connect with?
Yeah, so Charge, we're based here in Brooklyn, New York. We're investing out of our third fund. Been around for 7 years, made 60 plus investments. We write anywhere from like $250K to $1 million checks, usually the first institutional check in a company. So we like to say it's friends, family, fools, and Charge Ventures. That's where you're going to get your first check from. And we have a couple of focus areas. We tend to focus on creator economy. We love folks like you that are redefining what it means to run a business and building an empire of one. Any sort of tools to fuel that. We view that as the American dream, and we love investing in that. So we invested in a company called Grin. It's the largest influencer marketing company out there, $1 billion company.
Oh, that's what I am, or so, allegedly. So yes, that sounds great.
Yeah, well, you are a tech influencer, right? So Grin facilitates connecting brands and folks like you that match up. We invested in a company called Norby, which is actually one of the hottest. It's basically HubSpot for influencers. So I don't know what type of I don't know what type of marketing stack you use, but
it's called spit and chewing gum. That's my marketing stack. So I think I need that as well. I need one of everything you're making. So I'll just do a laundry list.
I got the discount code. So we do a lot of that. We obviously do future of work. Kumospace was something thinking about how our tooling for our jobs could be better. And then we also do a lot of machine learning and data analytics. I am lucky I get the opportunity to teach data analytics up at Columbia Business School. So we have a really
never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Well,
Okay. So is that just for fun and kicks and giggles, or do you what's it been like being a professor through the pandemic? And I guess you've been doing it for quite a few years now.
Oh yeah, I guess I'm on my 6th or 7th year of teaching at Columbia. I just do it because I love it's fun. It's fun to hang out with young people and get to stay young. So I'm lucky enough. I do it with my co-professor Daniel Guetta. He's actually was ranked the #1 professor at Columbia Business School last year. So always constantly putting me to shame. But tonight I get to go up there and work with him, and we get to every day I learn a little bit about how machine learning works.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thanks so much for joining me here. And now we're following each other on Twitter. We can continue the conversation. I'm always happy to chat about entrepreneurship and work and jobs and the future of work. And do you have any events coming up this fall as we get out into the world?
Yeah, I guess next week I'm going flying out to Lisbon. We got a little speaking gig at Web Summit, and we're gonna do
wonderful
that.
event.
It'll be fun. You know, a lot of people there in front of the stage. So not as many as your show here, but you know, this is good practice. After this, I won't be intimidated at all. And yeah, so if anyone's at a web summit and wants to jam and looking for a solution to keep their remote team, you know, moving fast and feeling connected, I would love to help hook you up with the Kumospace.
All right. Well, I'm sure you'd be a blast to have a glass of Porto in Portugal with. So I encourage folks to reach out. And yeah, thanks so much for joining, sharing your vision, and here's to success onwards and upwards.
Oh, thank you so much, Evan. Absolute pleasure, and hope to let me know if you ever make it down to New York. We like in person too.
All right. Take care.
Take care,
Thanks
sir.
so much.
Bye-bye.